Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. Today is Saturday, August 4th, 2014. And the title of today's episode is Why Are Central Banks Buying Gold Hand Over Fist? We're doing an afternoon broadcast, one of the first ones that we've done. We'll probably also do a broadcast tonight at 8 o'clock normal time, if time permits, 8 Eastern Standard Time. But before we get to today's topic of why are central banks buying gold hand over fist, let's take a look at the prices of gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies as we closed out the week. Gold ended at $1213.30. That was down significantly from the beginning of the week, although it did rise on Friday all the way up to $1220. It had been as low as $1204. Silver also had a bad week, closed around $1538. It too had fallen very low to $1521, rose up to $1553 on Friday and closed at $1538. Now over on the crypto sides, the last days Bitcoin has led down the cryptocurrencies. Normally Bitcoin goes up. When Bitcoin goes up, the altcoins go higher. But in this case, Bitcoin is leading cryptocurrencies down and is having a bigger decline. Bitcoin had fallen all the way down to under $7,000 right now. On CoinMarketCap, it's at $7,015. That's down nearly 7% in the last 24 hours. Ethereum only down 2.5% at 405. Bitcoin Cash, $698, down 3.6%. And Litecoin down just under 3% at $74.43. By the way, I saw news on Ripple, very, very odd news, that Bill Clinton is going to be supporting Ripple. I saw a thing where Madonna will be supporting it. Very, very odd support for Ripple, supposed cryptocurrency. All right. By the way, yes, the other night, hello, Drunk Octopus, and hello, Silver Stacker. Oh, you've got your coffee cup. All right. Smaulgld mugs. They're running out. Mug shortage. The other day we had the contest, and no one won it. I couldn't read what was in the chat because it was a malfunction, but I managed, after I uploaded the video, to go through and read all the comments, and I saw that no one answered the question incorrectly. So you have a chance to win a Smaulgld game changer eraser that you see on your screen. Hello, all is one now. The question was, and this will win you a Smaulgld game changer eraser. And if the chat misfunctions again, it looks like I'll be able to go back and check it. Here's the question. In what year did the U.S. Mint sell the greatest number of American gold eagles? I'll give you the number, but I want to know what year and what is the commonly given reason for such high sales. In the year that they sold the most, they sold 5,079,000 American gold eagles of various sizes. That amounted to over 2 million ounces, or 2,055,500 ounces. In what year did the U.S. Mint sell a record number of American gold eagles of all sizes, and in that 2 million plus ounces? That'll get you a game changer Smaulgld eraser. I need not just the year, but also the commonly given reason for such mega sales. All right, for Smaulgld news coming up, we're going to have the Shanghai Gold Exchange numbers. They fell a bit in June, but they're still robust for this time of year. And also, we're going to have another 3 reasons why you should buy and hold Smaulgld mugs. We'll be putting those up in the next day or so. Also, I'll be interviewing Anne Remph tonight. And that interview should go up at some point, probably tomorrow. And as I mentioned, tonight we may do another live stream. And the topic of that one, for those of you, will be economics, Saturday night economics. We're going to cover the dark side of the minimum wage, but I have a Another reason, other than the commonly known ones, why the minimum wage is not a good idea. All right, let's get into the why are central banks buying gold hand over fist. Oh, by the way, I didn't give you the big story on cryptos, which seems to have no impact on the price whatsoever. It's actually driven it down. Was the Intercontinental Exchange, which is the operator of 23 stock exchanges, including the New York Stock Exchange, has announced plans to create this open regulated ecosystem for digital assets. That came out yesterday. It's called Backit, and it will work with enterprise groups like Starbucks, Microsoft, and others to create this ecosystem. You would think that this would be big news and would set the price skyrocketing, but it has not done so. Now, I don't know if this is buy on the rumor, sell on the fact, because we really didn't have that much of an uptick, and I hadn't heard much about this. But that's just something to keep aware of, and we'll see where that leads, if anywhere. But this is an indication of big established players moving into the crypto space. Okay, so let's get into why are central banks buying gold hand over fist. Now, you may have heard the other day we had an announcement from the World Gold Council that central bank gold buying was up in the first half of 2018. Now, for those people who follow gold and are steeped in gold and believe in gold, like gold, understand the financial problems that we have with too much debt, understand the historical significance of gold, you hear that and you immediately take that to mean, well, that's a great thing. That's something. And you may even parrot, central banks are buying gold. That is all I need to know. And you'll tuck that away, confident that you've now got more information that confirms why owning gold is a good thing, and perhaps maybe you should buy more. I want to talk about how somebody who doesn't know anything about gold might have taken that news. If you don't know anything about gold and something comes across your plate, your Twitter feed, your Facebook feed, somebody sends it to you, and you don't know anything about gold, your reaction to that news might range from, wow, or what are central banks, or what does this mean, or I don't know what it means. But let's say that it piques your interest and you say, okay, and somebody tells you, you should buy gold because central banks are buying gold. Now, to somebody who doesn't know anything about gold, you'd say, okay, well, the first question you'd answer, what are central banks? And then someone tells you there's 180 or 150 of them around the world. They're responsible for conducting monetary policies, and they hold reserves. Some of them hold gold. Most of them hold gold reserves. And you say, okay. And you're telling me that central banks are buying gold. You say, yeah, they're buying gold. It's the best thing ever. Central banks are buying gold. That is all I need to know. Buy more gold. But if you are not steeped in gold and you don't know anything about it, you might ask some more questions, like which banks are buying are buying gold? How much gold are they buying? Why are they buying it? And what will it actually mean if they're buying gold? Now, you ask all those questions to someone who's steeped in gold, they look at you like, duh, they're buying gold. Don't you? What else do you need to know? Well, actually, the person asking the question is smarter than the person who thinks that it's a self-evident proposition, because it's not. So you first have to, when you hear central banks are buying gold, you want to quantify, first of all, is it true? Because sometimes people say stuff that isn't true. It sounds good, but isn't true. Now, in this case, it is true. Wow, well, there you go. So central banks are buying gold. That is all I need to know. Well, no. You need to know, what difference does it make if central banks are buying gold? Well, central banks are the ones who run the financial system. If they're buying gold, they know there's something is up and they know something is coming. So if they're buying gold, I'm buying gold too. And you've reduced yourself to just chanting your confirmation bias because central banks are buying gold. And what's happened is, I believe, and it's hard for people who like gold to realize they have gotten to the point where their emotions have taken over. They now believe in a cause, that there is a collapse coming, and they're cheering on something to happen. And once you get to that point, it's very hard to understand why something either doesn't matter or may even be wrong. I'll give you an example. I remember in 2015 and 16, so many commentators were saying, the Feds can never raise rates. The Fed will never raise rates. The Feds can't raise rates. If the Feds raise rates, then the whole economy will collapse and gold will go. This is not going to happen. And then when the Fed raised rates, well, it's just one, and the next move is a rate cut, and then they're going to do QE4. Then they raise them again. Well, that's only 2 rate hikes. They're not really raising rates. They didn't raise rates, and they raise them again, and then again, and again. And then if you've been listening to these commentators, they'll tell you, well, others thought they were going to raise them higher, so I was less wrong than the others, so actually I'm right. Now, if you weren't listening to that person for 2 years before, you would think, if you just heard that person give that reason why he wasn't wrong, you'd say, you guy's a moron. That doesn't make any sense. He just said that what he said couldn't happen, not only did happen, happened 6 or 7 times, but somehow he's not wrong because he said it wasn't going to happen, but it didn't happen as much as other people said it would. That doesn't make any sense to anybody who hears it for the first time. Just like when somebody hears for the first time, central banks are buying gold. That doesn't mean anything to them. But to you, if you've been listening to commentators telling you they can never raise rates, and when they do, you've already emotionally invested in the fact that they can't raise rates. They can't, these banks, they can't raise rates. They can't do it. But then when they do it, you have this distance. Well, my guy's still right because they didn't really do it. No, they did do it. Or the silver price has been down for 10 years and you insist it's not really down. No, it is. So for example, then you start saying, well, he's not wrong. He's just early. Well, if you've been early for 20, 30, 40 years, I would say you are wrong. All is one now, says 1999. Tell me why it was, and I will. You will win the race. Okay. Then the other thing is, it doesn't matter until it does. So you start to tell yourself these things are important, and that what you believe really is true when it's not. So, for example, remember the whole Shemitah thing. Shemitah is going to happen. Shemitah is going to happen. Then this is going to happen. On that day, it's going to happen. And then it doesn't happen. Oh, well, it's not this year. It's next year. And you still believe that, and then next year comes and nothing happens. And you're not willing to give up the fact that you emotionally invested in the fact that Shemitah was going to be a, quote, game changer. So let's get back to central banks. Central banks are buying gold. That is all I need to know. And as I say, if you look at the central banks that are buying it, you'll realize, yes, they're buying it, but they, out of the 156 of them, are only 3 central banks. And those 3 central banks are Turkey, Kazakhstan, and Russia. Okay, well, Russia's a big deal. Russia's buying a lot of gold. They're buying gold hand over fist. They're preparing to... Okay. I'm going to put up on the screen, or I hope this shows up, why, and this is my opinion, but it's based on facts, why I think these central banks are buying gold, which the amounts that they're buying in a given year are 334 tons is what they bought last year. That amount out of a 4,100 ton demand is nothing. So central banks are buying gold has no impact really on the overall gold demand. But if you don't know what the overall gold demand is, you just hear central banks are buying gold. And then you think, then I should be buying gold. Why? And I'll explain. If you compare yourself to Kazakhstan and you think your household finances are similar to Kazakhstan, then you may have an issue with understanding what's going on with Kazakhstan. So Kazakhstan is buying gold. Yes. The Central Bank of Kazakhstan is buying gold. 43% of their reserves are in gold. Well, they must know what's coming. See, you assume that they think of the world the way you do. Well, they don't. Because first of all, they have gold mining production in their country. You don't have a gold mine in your backyard. Now, maybe you would if you had a gold mine in your backyard. Save all of it. You might sell some of it. But if you look at the price of, if you look at the currencies of the countries that are buying gold, they're horrific currencies. So for example, the Kazakhstan tenge, I'm going to try to put up the picture. You tell me if you can see it here. Is a currency that no one wants. And it goes down. It's against gold. There's no comparison. So here is a picture of the Kazakhstan tenge. Tell me if you see it on your screen. If you don't, I'll just have to walk you through it. Yes, all is wanted is Y2K. That's right. People stacked gold like maniacs in 1999. Those of you old enough to remember, they were worried that the computer systems wouldn't roll over. So all is one. You have won the Smaulgld game changer eraser. All right. If you look at what's on the screen there, the gold versus the Kazakhstan tenge. Now, if you had gold in your backyard, and in the year 2008, you only had 20 tons of gold being mined, you had not invested the money in the gold mines, but now you're mining 60, 70, 80 tons a year. Why wouldn't you turn your currency into gold? You know the gold is not going to go down. This is like a 50, 60%. This is almost double. Gold is more than doubled since 2015 against the Kazakhstan tenge. Why would you hold something like the Kazakhstan tenge when you have them and you can buy gold from your domestic suppliers? It is the biggest, to use a cliche, no-brainer. Does it mean they know what's coming? No, it means that it's prudent. It makes a lot of sense for a country like Kazakhstan in the position that it's in to buy gold. It's almost like they'd be foolish not to buy gold. When you have geopolitical uncertainty, when you have potential for inflation internally, whatever the problems are, yes, the reason they're buying gold are the same reasons why you might want to buy gold for insurance, but they're in a much more vulnerable position than most other countries. And you would think if their central bank is 43% backed by gold, that Kazakhstan tenge, whatever it is, wouldn't be such a bad currency. So counterintuitively, countries that buy gold are countries that have very poor currencies. Now, what about Turkey? Turkey's your gold buddy, right? Turkey's buying gold. Turkey knows what's going on. Well, Turkey's got they got a huge problem. No one wants the Turkish lira. Let's take a look at gold versus the Turkish lira. Same problem. It's up like 70, 80% in the last 2 years. The Turkish lira is a horrific currency. They need to get their hands on something that isn't going to just melt away. So they are buying gold. The fact that Kazakhstan, who has a gold mining production, and that Turkey has a horrific currency, are buying gold, I'm not shocked. And the fact that Turkey's at odds with the U.S. in many instances is not surprising. Speaking of countries that are at odds with the U.S., let's take a look at Iran. Iran knows what's coming. Yeah, Iran is screwed because half the world is against it. It has some powerful allies, but its currency is not really doing very well. Iran is buying gold. They know what's coming. No. They know. Look at the price of gold in the Iranian rial. You want to get rid of those Iranian rials as soon as you can. Gold is nearly tripled versus the Iranian rial. Unbelievable. So of course they're buying gold. Now, well, they're not buying dollars because they know dollars are toilet paper. Well, yes and no. They're not buying dollars because what good are they if the United States kicks them out of the SWIFT system? So they better be buying gold. But you're not kicked out of the SWIFT system. You're not allowed to use dollars. You don't have sanctions on you. You don't have a gold mine in your backyard that you can just go and grab gold and turn your dollars in for it at a lower cost than the price. Think about it. If it costs the Kazakhstanis $800, $900 an ounce to mine gold, and they have tenge in which to pay for it that are going to go down 20%, why wouldn't they turn their tenge into gold at a lower price than the gold price? You'd have to be completely moronic not to do that. When you have a weak currency and you have gold mining at a price lower than the price of gold, it's an instant profit. You would do it. Same with Iran. If you have the rial and it's going down and no one wants it because you're under sanctions, what can you buy that's not going to go down? Gold. So Turkey, Iran, Kazakhstan. Same with Russia. Russia. See if I can get that one on the board. Russia has had a horrific currency, even though 18% of the reserves are in gold. Russia is the third largest gold producer in the world. Why wouldn't you take your depreciating ruble to your domestic suppliers who can produce the gold for $800, $900 an ounce and slap it into your reserves at a notional value of $1,200 to $1,300 an ounce? You've basically offset your ruble depreciation and turned that negative ruble into a positive by gaining on the lower cost of production of gold and putting it into your gold reserves. So if you didn't know anything, you might look at it that way. You might analyze it that way. But if you're already steeped in a gold narrative and you're emotionally invested in it, then all you're going to say is Russia is buying gold because they know what is coming. Central banks are buying gold because they know that the world is in bad shape. That's half true. But it also makes total sense for them to be buying gold. And if you notice, the ones that are adding gold, they're the ones that are in the worst financial position, the ones with the worst currencies. So it's not like once they add gold to their reserves, their currencies get buttressed. Now, I think they should, but they don't. But look at Canada. Canada has no gold. And yet, this whole system gives it a sovereign rating of AAA. So the reason I wanted to go through is I keep hearing people saying central banks are buying gold. Yeah, they are. The amounts that they're buying are low. There's only 3 banks that are buying it. And the amounts that they're buying are so low that it doesn't matter anyway. And they're not buying for the same reasons that you might think they are, because your mindset is they are buying gold for the collapse. They're getting ready for the reset. Because you've heard all that. I don't think it has anything to do with reset. Because if central banks were getting ready for a reset, 50, 100, 200, 150 central banks would be buying gold. And it would be obvious they were buying gold. The only thing that's happened is these 3 banks are adding a little bit more gold. 2 of them are Kazakhstan and Russia are gold producers. Turkey is adding gold, and that's it. Iran, people are buying gold, and I'm sure the government is buying gold. We just don't have those numbers. But again, it makes total sense for them to do so. All right. I guess we don't have many questions here. But let's take a look at what we got. Silver Stacker, thanks for the coffee cup. Used it for drinks. Drunk Octopus is here. All is one. Says hello. Daniel Gummer, what does Smaulgld mean? Well, if you pronounce it, it could be Smaulgld, but that doesn't mean anything. Drunk Octopus, 1973. U.S. Mint only started minting gold again for the first time since 1933 in 1986. So, couldn't have been 1973. Daniel Gummer says 2001. Actually, 2000 was a very low year because when Y2K fears did not materialize, people stopped buying gold. And they stopped buying gold all through the 2000s until we got a whiff of the financial crisis in 2007 and 2008. All is one says 1999. That is the correct answer. And he is right. It was because of Y2K fears. Send me your address at smaulgld@gmail.com and I will ship out your Smaulgld game-changing eraser. And again, join me tonight when we talk about the dark side of minimum wage laws. Thanks very much for joining me today, and we'll see you tonight, if not tonight, tomorrow night, and every night at 8 p.m.